What's going on, people? So, this right here, side of the box and all that stuff for you. It's the new Ultraboost thing and all that. So, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Sometimes I'll do some research or whatever, figure out what's new from like the newer model to the older model or whatever. I sat down here a second ago and realized I did not do that, so this will not be the most informative review. Just letting you know that right now. But whatever, let's go ahead and do this. We're talking about these right here. This is the Adidas Ultraboost 5X in Cloud White, Halo Silver, and Lucid Pink. A lot of names there, right? A lot of names. All right, let's go ahead and, actually one thing I will add in here. There is, I saw this online, an Ultraboost 5 and an Ultraboost 5X. I'm not sure what the difference is. I couldn't really find any like Ultraboost 5s, you know, and the ones that I saw that weren't labeled as such were really Ultraboost 5Xs. So what the difference is, who knows? And also, like years ago, there was an Ultraboost 5.0. So what's going on with this naming situation is my real question. I'm not expecting an answer, but it's a thing. Let's start this with the bottom. Down there, across the bottom and all that stuff, right? What are you looking at down there? Well, I don't know, you got a nice little torsion system going on. I like the coloring. Got the rest of it on the front and the back, right? You have the Continental rubber, which, as I've said in past reviews on other things, durability and traction and all that stuff. That's where stuff like that comes in. So that's what's happening down there, right? Again, there could be some details that I should share at this moment, but I don't have them. Moving on, up here. Check that out, right? Very nice gradient action going on with this here midsole. I'm a fan of it, right? So there is that piece of it. And if you notice, maybe you notice in the back here, kind of has like a sort of an iridescent thing where the gray area is. So it kind of shifts from that to like some sort of pinkish purplish hue. It's pretty nice, right? So anyways, moving on. Looking at these from the top down, right? Yeah, this particular colorway, I guess, doesn't really have a whole lot to take in, honestly, because it's, you know, all the coloring is mostly just there on the midsole. The upper piece is kind of plain, right? But once you get into it, you know, the details of it are actually pretty nice. So I guess we should probably do more of that and less of the overview. So down here in the toe box region, right, getting into things, one thing that you'll notice here is that they've changed things quite a bit. Well, I don't say quite a bit, but it's more open here, more of a mesh sort of situation. It's all, well, it's technically prime knit, but still. So one thing, and I'll bring these up, this is the Ultraboost 23 or 22 Light. Depends on how you want, or Ultraboost Light or 23, excuse me. So however you want to look at it, that's what this is, last year's model. So as you see down there, one of the things, and I bring this up now because I might forget later, this piece right there, compared to over here, it's a little bit different, and honestly it feels so much better over here, having like more open mesh down there. This felt a little restrictive. I mean, it might break in over time, sure, but this right out of the box comforts, that step in comfort as they say, yeah, solid on these, like, yeah. So anyways, moving along past that, onto the side here, right, what you have going on down there, you don't have a cage like you had before. In this particular case, they decided to just slap these things on there, which reminds me of, the 40 forward maybe? Something like that. So you have these stripes going on, and they are going to be 3M. And I've said before, right, I'm a big fan of like the 3M stuff, like especially when it's used properly. You know, I mean, I don't need a whole lot of it. I just like it to be done in the right ways. And I kind of feel like this was done in the right way. You know, it's not overly flashy, you know, no pun intended, but it gives it a nice look, kind of breaks up, especially if you're going to be running around at night or whatever. That's going to be a very handy thing to have. And anyways, moving on past that though, if you want to look behind it, you do still have some of that open mesh on the side for breathability, which is definitely going to be a good thing because again, these are running shoes. Moving to the back third or so, down here on this heel cup area, you do have the Ultraboost at the top, labeling wise, then standard heel cup material or whatever. So it kind of looks like it has that same iridescent look as the bottom of the midsole, or as the back of the midsole though. But I think it's really just painted that way because, you know, it just has like a little purplish around some of the blocking area. And then on the very back, at the top, you're going to have the same sort of thing, iridescent thing for the Adidas logo. And then on the bottom, it's all just going to be the standard meshy material that they use on the back. It's really soft though. I do like it a lot. And moving on back here to the front piece to finish up with like all the outside. Start with the laces. The laces that they put in here, standard, flat, white, nothing fancy about them. They get the job done. And honestly, like, you might even be fine without these laces, because the way these shoes are made, you kind of just don't need them in a lot of cases. But I don't think they make laceless Ultraboosts anymore. Either way, behind that, like I was saying, this whole piece here, it's going to be standard mesh or prime knit. It's all the same, honestly. So you got that going on behind the tongue. Going to make for some nice breathability in there. It stretches out a good bit too. So even though these might look somewhat narrow, they do fit pretty nicely. And then at the very top of that, as far as the Adidas logo, it's going to be the same style as what you saw on the back. So it's kind of like a gray, but it's kind of like a purple, depending on how you want to let the lights hit it. So there you go. And next to that, one thing I should cover before I move on. So this right here, construction-wise, I'll have to bring some other shoes up here in a second. So construction-wise, it kind of reminds me of some of the past offerings from Adidas, but it looks like it might be a little rigid or whatever. But unlike those Ultraboost 6s, which I still kind of hate, it's very nice, very soft, and it does stretch out a good bit, right? So if you have bigger feet or whatever, or you think it's going to be hard to get your foot in there, shouldn't be a problem. Not at all. So you got that happening, right? And now back on here into getting onto the inside so we can finish the visual components and whatnot. So on the back piece, I'm not sure what material this is. It almost feels like some sort of like neoprene type of thing going on the back. But it looks nice, right? It kind of reminds me of those like moisture wicking shirts or something. So that's what's happening back there. And if you look down on the inside, on the insole, you got that same orange type color that you saw on part of the midsole with Ultraboost. And also one thing that I'll slip in pictures of, just in here, you do have a slight extra bit of material, kind of like how they would do like the Ultraboost Uncaged years ago, just to kind of give this thing a little bit of structure, I suppose, right? But otherwise, you can see in there looking at it, super breathable going on right here. So I do like that, right? But I think that's pretty much it for that piece of this. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to hit you with some comparisons and whatnot to some previous things. So once again, just in case I didn't really highlight it enough for you, going from the 23 or the lights, however you want to look at it, to these, there's a good bit that has changed, right? I mean, if you look, starting with the outside and all that, again, you can tell that it's like going to be an Ultraboost. It's just, you think that there would have been like more in between these, but no. Like, as far as more releases in between these to like make that jump, but no, it's somewhat of a radical shift. And then looking around from like just the front and air, all that stuff again, that's what's going on up there. Again, sort of a different style, but it's working out fine. And then as far as the inside goes, kind of similar to what you saw on the outside, honestly, just on the inside. So I don't think I need to go into too much more detail about that. But the one thing that I do like is that these overall, I wasn't a huge fan of the Ultraboost 20. Like, if you ever saw one of the videos I did, you know that. But as far as things they did after this, I was even less a fan of those from a visual piece. So that actually made these start looking a lot better. And this right here kind of goes back to how these looked to some extent, right? So I do like that, especially when you look in like this area, right? And that's a thing that they didn't start with this. The 19, I'll show you those in just a second, kind of have the same sort of deal, right? So this right here being the Ultraboost 19, which was for a long time my favorite thing. Again, they brought back a style that is very similar to those, so I'm a huge fan of that, right? Because it's a thing, it worked well. And then, you know, they started making these weird shifts, like the 22 and the 21, and I was like, I don't know, people. I don't know. But either way, so that's going to be that. Otherwise, I don't want to sit here and talk about too much more of this. So I'm going to get you those personal thoughts. I like these a fair amount, right? I didn't care so much for them when I first saw them, to be completely honest. like I got the email saying, hey, we got the new Ultraboost. And that's the thing that I look forward to every year. And I looked at them and I'm like, your color selection is booty, Adidas. Try again, right? And I was going to wait it out, but, well, here we are. So I picked these up anyway, and honestly, after looking at them up close, these are a lot better than I thought they were initially online, right? I'd still rather have something a different color, but I can't talk down on these as much as I like looked down on these initially. So there is that. And the improvements that they made as far as things that I'll get into more with like the comfort piece and all that, definitely prefer that too. So all in all, this is shaping up to be a pretty good purchase. I haven't put them on the track or anything yet, obviously, but that will hopefully happen this week, and then I'll see how I really feel about them, because that's where it makes the most sense. But as far as just like the Ultraboost line goes, it's one of the few things that I look forward to, this and the new Air Maxes, right? Whatever they do for the year. So I'm glad to see that this is working out so far better than I thought it would, because again, I've been losing a little bit of interest over the last few years, to be completely honest. But I think that they might be winning me back. I don't know if this is going to top those Kensei Maxes, but I'm just saying, I'm glad to see Adidas doing something with the Ultraboost that I'm into, right? I get that the world is bigger than just me, but I'm the one spending my money on stuff, so in that way, I am what matters. I mean, isn't that how you look at things? Anyway, so let's talk about some sizing, huh? Sizing wise, I bought these in a 9.5. I've been doing that for a long time with my Adidas shoes, and it's been working out. This time is no different, right? And honestly, in some ways, it's working out even better than it did last year. So let me tell you about that. On the side, right? The last year model, it could feel a little restrictive. I think part of that is because they had the cage on the side. With this, given that all you have is just those layered those layered stripes, I think that helps a lot, right? Also, down in the front where like the toe box is with the mesh, like I said before, a lot less restrictive down there. Overall, the whole upper of this thing, it feels, I like that it's a tighter knit than, like the Kanos and things like that. But at the same time, it still like feels loose enough in the right areas that it just feels overall like super comfortable. One of the most comfortable things I've put on in a little while, right? So I really like that a whole lot too. Now, it does feel a little bit weird walking around in these at first, and I didn't really talk about it too much. I meant to, but if you saw from the back side of the shoe, right, they kind of just have like a weird shape or whatever, and I think maybe that just will take some getting used to. But after a little while, I'm sure it'll be just fine. It's just those first steps, I was like, what is this? It just felt so uneven. But past that, the dimensions wise, like I was saying, I went true to size. It worked out just fine for me. The boost under the foot feels really nice. It's the light boost, so it's just the same thing, lighter but more comfortable, all that stuff. Makes for a very light overall shoe. And you have a lot more cushion in the forefoot than you'd had in previous releases as well. So that's going to be a thing, because I put those lights on a little while ago and they felt so flat in the front, which is crazy. But yeah, all in all, these have a lot of good things going on with them. So I'll come back to it as far as the running piece goes later, but I'm expecting good things, right? But if you saw the video before this one, you know what I say about expectations. So anyways, there's that. Done with the shoe reviews for today. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I am going to open up a bunch of records and an Alex Ross collector's box, or whatever that thing says. So yeah, got some stuff going on that you can't see on screen, but it's all this stuff going on over here. Later, people. So, turns out I'm not actually done. I looked over here and completely forgot that there was another box that I was supposed to open up, right? So, here's the thing, right? This week, I might be doing one of those color run things, like 5K thing, like they have all the crap going on. And I don't want to, mess up, any of my shoes that I like, you know what I'm saying, with all these colors being thrown at you. I don't know if that stuff comes out or what. So I bought another pair of these things here, Ultraboost 5X, just like we were talking about seconds ago, right? So this came from Dick's. I was on my way back from an Avril Lavigne show. the store on the way back down here had them in stock in white, and I thought, okay, let's do that, right? So that's what these are. I'm not gonna do a full thing on them or whatever, but I felt like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go out there with these, right? And then they will just become likely some sort of beater type shoe. So as you see here real quick, not going into the full thing, there you go. See that? White. More white. All the white, right? So that's what's happening here. Not a lot to say, right? So that means I'm done. Sit that down here. Now, later people.